Welcome to Psyche Talks. Today we're embarking on a fascinating journey, really diving into the subtle art of human connection. We're guided by Leil Lowndes' really influential book, How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships. Mm. If you've ever found yourself wishing maybe you had a bit of a social superpower or just, wanted to connect with people on a deeper level, well, this deep dive is going to be incredibly insightful.
Absolutely. It's a book packed with ideas.
It really is. Lowndes offers this comprehensive guide. It's just filled with incredibly actionable advice, things you can actually do. It's all designed to transform you into a more effective conversationalist and ultimately improve your social relationships. Covers everything, really. Body language, phone etiquette, even some advanced social tactics.
92 is a lot, though.
It is. So our mission for this deep dive is simple. We want to give you a shortcut. We'll extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the real insights from Lowndes' treasure trove, so you can be well informed on these powerful techniques and hopefully start applying them right away. Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to start right at the very beginning, that critical first impression. Lowndes asserts you have a mere 10 seconds to make an impact when you meet someone new.
10 seconds? That's fast.
Right, and here's the kicker. Over 80% of that impact comes from how you look and how you move, not even what you say yet.
Wow. So the visual is key.
Hugely key. One of her standout techniques for this is the flooding smile. This isn't just, a quick generic flash of teeth.
No.
Instead, you look at the person's face for a second, really sort of soak in their persona, and then you let a big, warm, responsive smile flood over your face and into your eyes.
It sounds quite deliberate.
It is deliberate. It's designed to engulf the recipient like a warm wave, making them feel like your smile is genuinely and uniquely for them.
Ah, the personalization.
Exactly. That split-second delay isn't an accident. Lowndes says it's what lends it immense credibility. Makes it feel real.
Okay, I can see that. It avoids that sort of automatic politician smile.
Totally. And building on that initial warmth, she introduces a technique for truly holding someone's attention. Sticky eyes.
Sticky eyes.
Yeah. Imagine your eyes are literally glued to your conversation partners with sticky warm taffy, as she puts it.
Okay, taffy eyes. Got it.
You maintain that eye contact even after they finish speaking. Then you break away ever so slowly, reluctantly.
So no darting away the second they pause.
Right. And Lowndes cites this fascinating case study. Subjects reported significantly higher feelings of respect and fondness for colleagues who were actually secretly counting their blinks.
Just because they held their gaze longer.
Apparently so. It creates this impression of intent, interest, and focus.
That's quite powerful for such a small change.
Isn't it? And to truly convey that you're all there for someone new, she suggests the big baby pivot.
The big baby pivot. Okay, explain that one.
This technique means giving a new acquaintance the same undivided attention, that warm smile, and the total body turn you'd instinctively give a tiny child who just crawled up to your feet.
Ah, okay. So you turn your whole body, not just your head.
Your whole body.
Yeah.
Pivoting 100% towards the new person. It sends this powerful nonverbal message. I think you are very, very special.
What's truly transformative about these initial nonverbal techniques, as you've highlighted, isn't just their individual power. It's how they collectively reframe the whole idea of a first impression. Lowndes shows us it's not about being, inherently charismatic or witty,
Right.
but about intentionally making the other person feel uniquely valued and safe, often before a single word is exchanged. It's a fundamental shift, really, from self-presentation to other validation.
That's a great point. It's not about trying to be something impressive, but about genuinely making someone else feel something positive. But from a practical standpoint, do you think people can genuinely enact these effectively without feeling, fake? Or does it require a real shift in mindset first?
That's a vital question, and I think Lowndes addresses it. While the techniques might initially feel like a performance, maybe a bit awkward, I think she argues it's about changing your internal state. For instance, take the hello old friend technique.
Okay.
You consciously imagine the new person is a long-lost friend. That conscious act, she says, triggers this remarkable chain reaction in your body. Your eyebrows soften subconsciously. Your whole posture might change slightly.
So the inner thought affects the outer action.
Exactly. When you act as though you like someone, she suggests, you actually start to like them. It fosters genuine affection. So it's less about faking it and more about activating a desired emotional state within yourself that then translates into authentic nonverbal cues.
That makes sense. It's almost like behavioral psychology for connection. using your body to influence your mind and theirs. And Lowndes also emphasizes another crucial point for credibility: limit the fidget.
Ah, yes, the fidgeting. Very important.
She stresses the importance of not fidgeting, twitching, squirming, or touching your face. Yeah.
We all do it, though, don't we? When we're nervous.
We do. But she explains, such movements can give listeners this gut feeling something isn't right, like you might be shifty or nervous.
Undermines the whole confident image.
Precisely. Professional communicators, she notes, often maintain that constant gaze and keep their hands away from their faces. It projects unwavering confidence and presence.
Exactly. And these aren't just isolated tips, are they? They're interconnected pieces of a puzzle.
How so?
Well, if you nail the flooding smile but then fidget constantly, you send mixed signals, contradictory messages.
Ah, I see. Consistency is key.
Right. The consistency across all these nonverbal cues is what truly builds trust and makes the other person feel uniquely seen and appreciated, all before you've even really started talking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you've mastered that powerful silent impression, the next step is actually getting the conversation flowing. This is crucial, especially for anyone out there who, dreads small talk. Lowndes offers some brilliant insights for breaking the ice.
The dreaded small talk, yes.
She calls one technique, make a move match. Before opening your mouth, you sort of take a voice sample and a psychic photograph of the listener's expression and mood.
A psychic photograph.
Yeah, basically you tune into them. Then you match their tone and demeanor.
So if they're subdued, you start subdued.
Exactly. Lowndes uses this powerful analogy of a mother quieting a crying baby.
Okay.
Mama doesn't just shout, quiet down, right? She first picks up the baby, cries sympathetically, matches its misery, then gently transitions them both into calmer, happier sounds.
Ah, so you meet them where they are first.
Precisely. The core idea here is that small talk isn't really about exchanging facts. It's about putting people at ease, convincing them non-verbally that they are okay and that the two of you are similar creates instant rapport.
That's a really interesting way to think about small talk. It's about emotional connection, not information.
Totally. And when you're asked those inevitable questions like, where are you from, or what do you do, Lowndes has a fantastic response. Never the naked city job.
Okay, intrigue me. No naked cities.
Yeah. Instead of just giving one-word answers, Chicago, marketing, she advises you offer delicious facts about your hometown or job.
Delicious facts? Like what?
Things that conversational partners can easily comment on. So instead of just Chicago, maybe Chicago, home of deep dish pizza and surprisingly windy.
Ah, you give them something to latch onto.
Yeah.
Bait, essentially.
Exactly. You provide appealing bait for further discussion. And Lowndes says, when they respond cleverly to your bait, they think you're a great conversationalist because you made it easy for them.
That is clever. It's a clever reframing, isn't it? These techniques really highlight that effective conversation isn't about your performance, like how much information you deliver,
Right.
but about making the other person feel comfortable, feel engaged, feel interesting. It's that fundamental shift again, from self-focus to other focus, that's key to overcoming the small talk barrier and genuinely drawing people in. You're basically giving them the space and the tools to shine.
That's a profound shift in perspective, really. So many of us go into conversations thinking about what we need to say, what witty thing we can come up with, but Lowndes consistently turns that on its head. What else does she suggest for drawing people out once the conversation has actually started?
Oh, a fantastic one is the swiveling spotlight.
The swiveling spotlight.
Yeah,
Sounds dramatic.
It's a great mental image. Lowndes suggests imagining a giant revolving spotlight between you and the new person. When you're talking, the spotlight is on you, but when they're speaking, it's shining brightly on them.
Okay.
And the goal is, the longer you keep that spotlight shining away from yourself, the more interesting they will find you.
Because you're making it about them.
Exactly. As she puts it, grow more by listening than talking. It encourages genuine curiosity about the other person. This also complements her idea of parodying.
Parodying, like mimicking.
Not exactly mimicking their voice or anything. It's simpler. To avoid being left speechless, you just repeat the last few words your conversation partner says, maybe with a slightly questioning tone.
Oh, like an echo.
Sort of. It puts the ball right back in their court. It shows you were listening, and it prompts them to elaborate. All you really need to do is listen for their response.
I love that image of the swiveling spotlight. It's so clear. And parodying seems like a great practical tip for anyone who, freezes up sometimes.
Definitely.
It seems these techniques are all geared towards creating this feeling of ease and genuine connection, making the other person feel good. Now let's explore how to maybe elevate your communication even further, to sound not just friendly, but maybe like a true VIP, as Lowndes puts it, and building connections that go beyond the superficial.
Right, moving past the basics.
Yeah, here's where the insights become incredibly potent, I think. For instance, instead of the blunt, what do you do, which Lowndes warns can immediately label you as a networker or maybe even a gold digger.
Yeah, it can feel a bit transactional sometimes.
It can. She suggests the what do you do note. You ask, how do you spend most of your time?
Much softer, more open-ended.
Exactly. It comes across as more principled, more subtle. The big cats, as she calls successful people, apparently find out what someone does in a much more subtle manner. They don't just blurt it out.
Interesting distinction. And what about how you answer that question?
Great point. That leads to the nutshell resume. This is all about tailoring your professional life story for each specific listener.
So, not a one-size-fits-all answer.
Definitely not.
Huh.
Before responding to what do you do or how do you spend your time, well, Lowndes advises you pause and consider. What possible interest could this specific person have in your answer? Could they refer business, buy from you, hire you, share an interest?
Thinking strategically about the audience.
Precisely. She uses this really powerful example of a guy named Roberto who was out of work. He applied for 2 different positions, sales manager at an ice cream company and head of strategic planning at a fast food chain with international plans. He didn't send the same resume. For the ice cream company, he highlighted how he turned a small company around by doubling sales. For the fast food chain, he underscored his European experience and knowledge of foreign markets.
Tailored it completely.
Completely. Both firms offered him the job, and it allowed him to play them against each other for a much higher salary, all based on tailoring his true story.
Wow. What's compelling about techniques like the nutshell resume is how they underscore that truly effective communication is audience-centric. It has to be.
Totally.
It's not just about delivering information, it's about making that information relevant and valuable to the listener. And this extends beyond just content, right? Into how you actually phrase things.
Absolutely. She really drives home the idea that knowing your audience changes everything.
Everything.
And on that note, she suggests communication jujitsu, which basically means starting appropriate sentences the word you.
Using you more. How does that work?
Well, for example, instead of saying, this new Indian restaurant is great, you try, Jill, you will love this new Indian restaurant. Will you join me?
Centering it on them.
Exactly. It immediately grabs the listener's attention, pushes their pride button, as she calls it, and makes them more likely to give a positive response because it's about them.
That's fascinating because it flips the typical, self-focused communication style. Instead of I think this, it becomes this is relevant for you.
Right.
And similarly, Lowndes advocates for anatomically correct empathizers.
That sounds clinical. Anatomically correct.
Haha, maybe a little. But the idea is powerful. It teaches you to use visual, auditory, or kinesthetic empathizers based on the other person's sensory language, their preferred mode of experiencing the world.
So you listen for the words they use.
Exactly. If someone says, I see what you mean, you respond with something like, I see what you mean too. Match their verb.
Yes.
If they say, this plan has a good ring to it, you respond with, it does sound great.
And if they have a gut feeling.
You respond with something like, I can understand how you feel. You match their sensory modality, seeing, hearing, or feeling.
Wow.
It creates this deep, resonant sense of understanding because you're literally speaking their language. It demonstrates you truly grasp their perspective on their terms.
I found the anatomically correct empathizers particularly insightful when I read it.
Yeah.
It's almost subliminal, isn't it?
Right.
But incredibly powerful for rapport.
Very much so.
And for creating instant intimacy, almost manufactured intimacy sometimes, Lowndes offers the premature we.
The premature we. Okay, that sounds potentially risky.
It does, but used subtly.
Mm.
It involves using the magic words we, us, and ours early in a conversation, maybe even with someone you just met.
Give me an example.
Okay, maybe you're at a buffet line next to a stranger. You might say something like, uh-oh, we're going to get fat if we let ourselves enjoy all of this.
Creating an instant in-group. Just the two of you against the buffet.
Exactly. She says this subtly scrambles their psyche, eliciting these intimate feelings and a sense of shared experience, almost as if you've been friends for years, just by using that collective pronoun.
These techniques, they really highlight that at their core, they are about building connection. whether it feels natural or slightly strategic at first.
Yeah.
It's about making communication more impactful for both sides, ensuring your message isn't just heard, but deeply understood and, crucially, resonates with their lived experience, their way of thinking. It's a strategic approach to fostering rapport, definitely.
Moving into social events now, like parties or networking things, Lowndes provides some incredibly sharp advice here on everything from making an entrance to the nuanced, powerful art of praise.
Social navigation skills, always useful.
Definitely. First, the politician's rule. Munching or mingling.
You can't do both.
Lowndes highlights that you should never hold food or drink while you're trying to mingle seriously.
Why is that?
Any object held between two people, a plate, a glass, acts as a kind of brick wall. It creates a physical and psychological barrier.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
Her advice is simple.
Yeah.
Eat before you come to the party, if you intend to mingle effectively. You can't really do both well at the same time. Choose your priority.
Makes sense. Focus on the connecting.
Right. Then, for making an unforgettable entrance, she suggests you rubberneck the room.
Rubberneck, like slow down and stare.
Sort of. When you arrive at a gathering, stop dramatically in the doorway and slowly survey the situation. Scan the whole room.
Isn't that a bit? Look at me.
She says it's not for showing off. It's to diagnose the scene. Take note of the lighting, the bar location, sure, but most importantly, the faces, the groups, the energy.
Ah, so it's strategic observation.
Exactly. You're assessing the energy, the conversation's already happening, and figuring out where you might best fit in or who you want to approach.
That thoughtful assessment of the room reflects a broader theme in Lowndes' work, doesn't it? Intentionality.
Yes, absolutely.
It's about being present and strategic, even in seemingly casual social settings. And I imagine that intentionality extends to how you follow up with people you meet.
Exactly. For follow-up, she introduces the business card dossier tracking.
Dossier. Sounds very secret agent.
Haha, maybe a little. But the idea is practical. Right after you've talked to someone, ideally discreetly, pull out your pen and write notes on the back of their business card.
What kind of notes?
Their favorite restaurant, maybe a sport they mentioned, a joke they told, kids' names, anything memorable. Lowndes emphasizes that politicians make a science out of this tracking. They refer to details from past conversations in subsequent interactions.
Ah, so when they meet again, they can say, how was that trip to Italy you mentioned?
Precisely. It makes people feel incredibly important, like old-style heroes around whom the world revolves, as she puts it. It confirms their deep conviction that they matter.
That's powerful. It shows you are actually listening and remember.
Hugely powerful. And for forging even deeper connections, there's the killer compliment.
A killer compliment. Does it slay them with kindness?
Sort of. At the end of a conversation with someone you want a future connection with, you look them right in the eye, say their name.
Using the name is important.
Very. And deliver one specific, attractive, and unique compliment that truly makes an impact. Not just, nice meeting you.
Can you give examples?
She gives examples like, what exquisite eyes you have, or perhaps you have a wonderful air of honesty about you, something personal and observed.
So, specific and unique, not generic or superficial like, great tie.
Exactly. It has to feel genuine and tailored to them.
The core belief here, it seems, is that people fundamentally crave to be seen and valued for who they truly are, not just for superficial reasons.
I think so.
These techniques, especially the killer compliment, they tap right into that fundamental human desire. It's about recognizing greatness or unique qualities in others, and when you do that sincerely, it creates this almost addictive sense of appreciation, because you've validated their deepest self-image.
It's such a powerful concept. And the most profound compliment technique she shares, in my opinion, is the tombstone game.
The tombstone game. That sounds morbid.
It sounds morbid, but the intention is actually quite deep. You ask important people in your life privately, maybe what they would like to engraved on their tombstone, what legacy they want to leave.
Okay, that's a deep question.
It is. Then you chisel those words into your memory, but you don't mention it again right away.
And then?
Then, at a later appropriate moment, maybe months later, you feed those exact words back to them in a compliment. Something like, Bob, I really appreciate you for the exact words they told you.
Wow, so you're reflecting back their deepest desired self-image.
Exactly. Lowndes says this feeds their deepest self-image, making them feel truly seen and loved for who they want to be. As if you have these supernatural powers of perception to recognize their core remarkableness.
That's potentially incredibly moving if done right.
It really is. Okay, finally, let's tackle some common communication challenges. Things like handling difficult questions, mastering phone calls, and even how to gracefully recover from your own blunders.
The recovery part is important. We all mess up.
We all do. So what does this all mean for daily interactions when things get tricky? Well, when someone persists in questioning you on an unwelcome subject, maybe prying a bit too much, Lowndes suggests the broken record.
Just repeat yourself.
Simply repeat your original response, using precisely the same words and the same calm tone of voice. Don't get drawn into justifying or explaining further.
And that works.
She says it usually quiets them down. If not, she asserts, a third repetition never fails to flick them off, as she puts it. Makes them realize they aren't getting anywhere.
Huh. Calm persistence. Okay.
And when delivering any news, positive or negative, it's crucial to remember. It's the receiver's ball.
Meaning focus on their reaction.
Exactly. You must deliver the news with the receiver always in mind. Your tone, your expression. It should reflect how they're likely to take the news, not how you feel about delivering it.
So if you have bad news for someone, even if you're relieved yourself, you need to show empathy for their feelings.
Precisely. Your face and voice should convey sadness or concern for them, not indifference or, worse, your own pleasure or relief. It's about their emotional reality in that moment.
These techniques really are about resilience and adaptability in communication, aren't they?
They are.
Lowndes isn't just giving us tools for, smooth sailing. She's also helping navigate the inevitable bumps and challenges. Take phone calls, for instance. Huge challenge because the visual cues are completely absent.
Right, you lose so much information.
So Lowndes emphasizes talking gestures. You have to consciously turn your smiles into sound, make your enthusiasm audible. All your physical gestures need to translate into something your listener can hear.
How do you do that? Just talk louder.
Not necessarily louder, but with more energy, more animation in your voice. She advises punching up your vocal act by about 30% to convey engagement. Your voice has to carry the entire weight of your personality and your message.
That's a great practical tip for anyone who relies on phone calls for work or personal life. Needs more conscious effort.
Definitely.
And for recovering from those inevitable mistakes we mentioned, those times you put your foot in it. She has a brilliant strategy. My goof, your gain.
Okay, turn your mistake into their win.
Exactly. When you make a mistake, ensure the victim, the person affected, benefits somehow. Ask yourself, what could I do for this suffering soul so he or she will actually be delighted I made the flub?
Delighted. That's setting the bar high.
It is. But the idea is, then you do it and do it fast. Your blunder becomes their gain. It immediately shifts the dynamic from negative, maybe awkwardness or anger, to positive. They almost end up glad you messed up.
That's clever relationship management right there. Taking responsibility and making amends proactively.
Totally. She also offers advice for gaining information from others, especially when emotions are running high.
Dealing with emotional people. Tricky.
Very. If you need facts from someone about an emotional situation, she says to echo the emo. Facts speak emotions.
Echo the emo.
Yeah. Let them emote first. Hear their facts, sure, but address their emotional core intensely. Show deep empathy for the feelings behind the facts.
So validate the emotion before digging for data.
Exactly. Smearing on the emo, as she graphically puts it, is often the only way to calm their emotional storm. Validating their feelings intensely makes them feel heard, and then they become receptive to your input or able to provide the facts calmly.
This final set of techniques really reinforces the idea that true communication mastery isn't just about the good times. It extends to navigating conflict, delivering difficult news, and even recovering gracefully from missteps.
Yeah, it's the full spectrum.
It's about resilience and adaptability. Understanding that critical thinking about your audience and the situation is essential, especially in today's world of information overload. And applying this knowledge not just for, personal gain, but for smoother, more effective, more human interactions overall. The application of these skills really can transform everyday interactions from potential pitfalls into opportunities for genuine connection and resolution.
So thinking back on this whole journey through Lowndes' ideas, what really stands out to you? For me, maybe it's the profound impact of those tiny nonverbal cues right at the start, or perhaps the subtle power of those really tailored compliments.
For me, it's the consistent theme of shifting focus, moving from how do I look or what should I say to how can I make this person feel seen and understood.
That's a great takeaway. So for everyone listening, how might consciously applying even one or two of these techniques subtly shift the entire dynamic of your daily interactions? or maybe even deepen a cherished relationship.
The beauty of these 92 tricks, I think, is not just in learning what to do, but in starting to understand why they work. They tap into that fundamental human desire we all have to feel seen, heard, and valued. They help transform interactions from being merely transactional to being genuinely human connections.
So the next time you walk into a room, pick up the phone, or find yourself in a conversation, maybe consider which of these small yet potentially mighty techniques you might try out. And perhaps also, how might actively observing these same techniques in others change how you interpret their actions and intentions? Food for thought. Thank you for your support and for listening.